Hello and welcome to Staying Ahead of the Curve. I'm Jeff Snyder, Vice President and Senior Consultant with Camac Retirement Group. We're coming to you live, well, almost live, from Baltimore, Maryland, where we are attending the National Association of State Retirement Administrators. And I am being joined today by the CEO and founder of ZeroedIn Technologies and Workforce Analytics, Mr. Christopher Moore. And by the way, he's a very good friend of mine. So Chris, thanks for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. Glad to be here.
Glad to see you again. And it's been a while since we've played music together, but I guess
we've been busy.
We have been busy, and I want to, I think we're here at NASRA, which is about state retirement plans, but I think what you're doing at ZeroedIn is so fascinating to me and would be very fascinating to the audience because it's about data analytics and data, and that's what this whole industry has transformed itself into. So if you wouldn't mind, just take us through what ZeroedIn is about.
Sure. So we're a workforce analytics solutions company. And what we do is we help our clients make better use of their workforce data, really for informed decision making. So it's about bringing technology, but also data science together and helping to tell a story that employers can use to improve their business, improve their workforce quality of life, and shareholder value.
So it's really peeling back that proverbial onion with a lot of this data.
It is. It's taking the entire employee workforce life cycle, right, from hire to retire, cradle to grave, if you will, and looking at the facets that help that employer and their workforce drive value, right? So it's what we do really well is help bring that data, kind of mine it out of these, deep inside their management systems and take it out to the ends of the organization, put it in the hands of the people manager, the people who need it to make those workforce decisions, and we're turning it into business insight along the way.
So Chris, I know we are here talking with public plan sponsors, but your services, your analytics really can apply to employers of all types. Without naming names, I'm sure your clients may not appreciate that, what types of employers are you working with today?
Sure. Well, we work in both the public and the private sector space. For-profit, not-for-profit. Typically, it's a workforce of 1,000 employees or more. They've reached a level of maturity where they're, they need tools and they need ways of helping them improve, right? They also have multiple people systems in place. They have their core human resource. They have their payroll, they have their benefits system, their talent systems, their recruiting systems, and some on-premise, some in the cloud, and yeah, they have an IT department, but IT's busy running the operations, and the human resource groups and the people managers don't always get the insights they need. We also work with service providers who are selling into those employers as well and looking for ways to provide value-added service, whether it's a benefits provider, a health benefit, or whether it's a retirement, 401k providers, helping them use data both internal to the employer but also external, right? Benchmarking data to be able to compare and contrast so they can help their employers get more value from their service.
So, having been in the retirement space for about 22 years, in all facets, one of the things we often talk about is reporting, and that is taking information out of the record keeper or out of the payroll and doing something with it. And sometimes that will formulate a communications campaign, a targeted strategy. But you're not really describing reporting. You're describing more analytics.
Analytics.
Tactical, actionable information.
Right. So when we talk about analytics, we're really talking about being able to compare and contrast and look for patterns in data that you can't see with the naked eye. It's looking at trends. It's looking at multi-variant data sources, right? Looking at pay and benefits and employee movement, ins and outs and promotions and lateral moves and so on through the organization. And looking at the relationships, the cause and effect, and being able to use that proactively.
And so much of what is being talked about, I mean, I publish the Morning Pulse every morning, and I've been really following this artificial intelligence themed conversation, but you're talking about predictive and trying to figure out where people are going and what they're doing and trying to, maybe anticipate.
Yeah, and in fact, clients are all at different maturity levels. It starts with this concept of descriptive, where are we today? And then it moves to diagnostics. How do we get here, right? And then the predictive side is all about what's the likelihood or probability of this event occurring. And then the next step is really prescriptive. How can we accelerate that event if it's a good event? Or how can we avoid that event from occurring? What actions can we take? So, from a predictive standpoint, we're looking at facts and, like flight risk is a big one, which drives turnover. And there's a high cost of turnover.
Absolutely.
The research shows that it costs an employer 1.5 times their annual salary to replace an employee. And this includes the recruiting costs, the retraining, the lost productivity, the wages. And, so if your average salary is $65,000, per employee, and you lose 10 people in a year, that's $1 million to the bottom line. So it's pretty quick return on investment, to spend 10% of that on a workforce analytics solution that can really help you be proactive and find out why are people voluntarily separating from the organization.
And let's add additional layer. We're here at a public funds conference, but if people are leaving government to go to a different job and you've got to replace them, that could actually change the complexion of how governments deliver services to their citizens, whether it's local government, state government, federal government, because you have that attrition, you've got to get people up to speed, and that creates a lot of a change and potential impact related to those services. So, we've talked at a very high level, broad level about overall benefits, but let's bring it back to retirement. That's kind of what I do and what this conference is about. So give us your snapshot, your thoughts about retirement planning, HR analytics, et cetera, and how that can be applied.
So from a business impact, it's sort of the double-edged sword that affects both the employer and the employee, but ultimately it rolls back to the employer because it's their workforce. From the employer side, retirement, it's a benefit, right? And it's used to attract, retain, motivate, and reward. So employers need the facts to show that they're providing their workers with a sponsored plan that, or pension, whatever it may be, that is well managed and has produced good results for the employees. But on the employee side, there's stress involved with thinking about retirement. When times are good, people retire too early, right? And that leaves voids in your talent pool, right? So good people walking out the door, goes back to the flight risk. But people also retire too late because the plan's perhaps underperformed, and what that results in is there may be people in the organization who are wanting to move up, but they can't because somebody is still in that slot because they're eligible for retirement. They're maybe in that late stage of retirement, but they feel that they can't because they may not be able to afford it. So with that, that whole concept of stress, it's you hear a lot about employee engagement. It's another factor that we measure, both the quantitative but also qualitative employee sentiment, to see engagement drives productivity. It's pretty common that those are the cause and effects there. So being able to manage that, you can't really manage what you can't measure, right? That was Peter Drucker. I have to give him credit for that. If we
we're not going to attribute that to you.
No.
Okay. So Mr. Drucker will be pleased by that.
Yeah. So it's there's a lot of business impact, but being able to measure it and management. You step on the scale in the morning. If you don't take action on what you see, good or bad, what was the point of it?
Let's talk about data, because I think that data. We're here at the conference, and we just had a retired general, talk about cybersecurity, and we'll get to that in a minute. But let's talk about gathering data. Where the data is sourced from? Because you're probably, I'm imagining, in the middle between payroll data, HRIS data, and you could even record keeper or vendor data. So where does data come from? Come from?
So I hit it at the beginning a little bit. There's, clients have multiple systems. They're in the cloud, they're on premise. It's, their core HR system, which tracks all of the human resource transactions. All right, all the moves, all the pay changes. Then of course there's payroll, which is identifying, the labor hours, but also the pay, the deductions, all of those facets. There's recruiting, there's performance, there's the operational systems, which really is that true picture of productivity. Human resource owns performance. That's that soft side. Hey, you're doing a great job, Jeff. But productivity, that's the business metric, right? That's the real picture of Jeff's success. Is it driving a business result? So you got to bring them together.
I was going to say, I think my boss is probably watching this, so let's not give him too much information.
Yeah, but you have to have both.
Yeah.
The soft side is the subjective piece, but you need that objective hard facts. And I mentioned the external data. So being able to compare, employers want to know how they compare to the broader field, right? Are they doing the right things? Are they making the right, whether it's true benchmarking or it's best practices. They look to outside data and being able to compare against that to improve.
So I think you touched on this at the beginning, but why aren't employers, analytics, we're talking about artificial intelligence, data breaches, cybersecurity, relating to what you're doing. Why aren't employers doing this internal? Well,
most of our clients have tried. And with some success, they all have business intelligence tools. So they've got an IT department. They're trying to bring the data together, but that's where they spend most of their time, is collecting the data, cleaning the data, formatting it, getting it ready, and not enough time using it and getting it into the hands of the people that need it. So what we've done is we've really kind of pre-baked what are the right metrics, that start with simple things like headcount, but roll all the way through that predictive flight risk indication, both ends of the spectrum, and used technology to enable the distribution of it in a way that's really consumable and actionable.
Last question, really about ZeroedIn and running a technology company. You have got to be innovating all the time. And I think as a consultant, I've got to bring the latest ideas to my clients. I've got to think industry trends and best practices. But you've got to be innovating. You've got to be trying to figure out how new technology applies. And you share with me offline an Alexa tool that you had developed. Alexa is the device that was just created, I think, by Amazon.
Yep.
And I think, how do you stay ahead of the curve, pun intended?
Well, we leverage technologies like the Amazon cloud, which allows us to really scale and secure our clients' data, but it also allows us to distribute that very quickly. So whether you're using your mobile device or you're using now voice-activated analytics, you can get flash briefings. You can get facts. What was my total cost of workforce? Just by using your voice. But really, it's bringing the technology and the service together. So what differentiates us is becoming that concierge, if you will, for our clients, so that we become part of their people analytics team. Because a lot of clients, they know that they need this, but they're so inundated maybe with other initiatives that they don't have the resources, they don't have the right resources, and as a result they stall. So we help become their workforce analytics team with the technology, role-based data experiences, collaborative data rooms, management scorecards, and really both the quantitative and the qualitative through integrated surveying to bring it all together to create that picture.
And allow them to focus on delivering their services to their client, which is their customer, their participant, their employee.
And to improve as a result.
Chris Moore, thanks for sharing a little bit about your company and what you're doing, and we hope to have you back on the show.
Appreciate the opportunity.